April 26, 1777. It was a stormy night in rural New York. The sky cracked with lightning, the kind that split trees. The roads were soaked in mud, and the revolution was on the verge of collapse. But while the men slept, a 16-year-old girl saddled a horse, tightened her cloak, and vanished into the darkness. To save a nation not yet born. She rode twice the distance of Paul Revere, fought off bandits, dodged redcoats, and rallied hundreds of men to arms before the sun had risen. Her name was Sybil Ludington, and you've probably never heard of her. This is her forgotten story. She was born on April 5, 1761, in Fredericksburg, New York, a quiet wooded town in the heart of the American colonies. Her father, Colonel Henry Ludington, was a veteran of the French and Indian War, and now a leader in the local militia fighting against British control. Sybil grew up with war in her blood, not in theory, but in training. She learned to ride horses as if she were born in the saddle. She memorized every back road in Putnam County, and when her father drilled his ragtag army in the fields behind their home, Sybil stood beside him, learning, watching, listening. The revolution wasn't just politics to the Ludingtons, it was personal. The British had already burned towns, captured militias, and silenced uprisings with violence. Every knock at the door could be a warning, or a death sentence. But Sybil was not afraid. It was the spring of 1777. The Revolutionary War had already left deep scars. The British had burned American towns, including the nearby city of Danbury, Connecticut, a vital supply depot for the Continental Army. On April 26th, word reached Colonel Henry Ludington. British troops were marching again, and they were headed straight for their militia territory in Putnam County. But there was a problem. The local militia was scattered across 30 miles of countryside, asleep, unaware, and unprepared. There was no time, no riders, no way to reach them fast enough. No one, except Sybil. Her father turned to her, and she didn't hesitate. Sybil climbed onto her horse, a powerful chestnut mare named Star. She wore no armor, no weapon, just a cloak soaked by the storm. Her mission: ride through 40 miles of enemy-infested woods, alone, at night, to summon 400 men to defend the country. She rode like fire, through the back roads of Kent, Mahopac, Carmel, and Stormville, shouting warnings, pounding on doors, screaming, "To arms! The British are burning Danbury!" Dogs barked. Candles flickered in panic. Mothers clutched their children. And one by one the men rose, grabbed muskets, pulled on boots, and followed her voice into the storm. Some accounts say she fought off a bandit with a stick. Others say she was nearly captured by British scouts, but Sybil never stopped. 40 miles, in mud, in thunder, in war. She returned home just before dawn, soaked, exhausted, and barely able to speak. But by daybreak, 400 armed men stood ready, and Danbury, though still damaged, was not lost entirely. Her ride had worked. She'd done what no one else could. At 16, Sybil Ludington saved a town and changed the course of the war. She returned home just before dawn. Her clothes were soaked, her voice shredded from shouting, and yet her eyes burned with something rare: purpose. She had done it. Sybil Ludington had summoned hundreds of militia to defend their land, At 16, she did what history would later credit to men. But when the story of the revolution was written, Paul Revere got poems, statues, textbook pages. Sybil got silence. The world moved on. Her name faded from memory, buried beneath the weight of war and time. Even George Washington, who reportedly praised her bravery, left no surviving letter. And so she became a ghost in her own legacy. Years passed. The war ended. The United States was born. Sybil married, raised a family, and lived a quiet life in New York. But the fire never left her. She died in 1839 at the age of 77. No medals, no monument, just a small grave in Paterson, New York, under the trees she once rode through in a storm. It would take more than a century for the world to begin to remember her. Today, a bronze statue stands near Lake Glenida. A road bears her name. A postage stamp was issued in her honor in 1975. And at last, some school books speak her truth. But most Americans still don't know her name. Not yet. One stormy night, a girl refused to stay silent. She didn't ask for glory. She didn't wait for permission. She simply did what had to be done. Sybil Ludington was brave, forgotten, and unstoppable. And now her voice rides again, through stories like this, whispering across history. I was there too. And I mattered. She didn't do it for glory. She didn't ride for medals or monuments. She rode because someone had to. And because courage knows no age and no gender. Tonight, you've heard her name. And don't forget it. This was Sybil Ludington. This was her ride. And this was her story. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more forgotten lives, untold stories, and the hero's history left behind, only here on Untold Lives USA.